Glen Powell, the versatile, risk-taking actor on his way to become the next modern movie star. What about him? From the young, sharp-tongued fighter trying to prove himself among action legends, to the fearless pilot whose swagger masks a quiet vulnerability, and from the quick-witted romantic who turns rivalry into chemistry, to the storm-chasing daredevil who brings old-school heroism back to the big screen. Let's get into it! Please help your favorite average movie guy get to 1,000 subscribers by subscribing right now. Slow rise in Hollywood. Spy Kids 3D Game Over 2003. Before Glen Powell became Hollywood's go-to leading man, he was just a kid from Austin, Texas, trying to break into the movie business any way he could, and his first step was an already pretty big one. This film was part of Robert Rodriguez's wildly popular Spy Kids franchise, a colorful, hyperactive mix of gadgets, imagination, and early 2000s special effects. Powell plays a small role, long-fingered boy, one of the gamers trapped inside the virtual world. It's a blink and you'll miss it part. For a teenager stepping onto a Rodriguez set, surrounded by green screens, video game aesthetics, and fast-paced family adventure, it was a crash course in filmmaking. Every actor has that first credit that gets lost in the film's chaos, and for Powell, it just happened to be in one of the most chaotic, kaleidoscopic, and uniquely early 2000s blockbusters imaginable.
Don't get too trashed and I win bonus points.
The Expendables 3, 2014. After more than a decade of TV roles and small film roles, truly nothing special, with some notable roles being in The Great Debaters and The Dark Knight Rises, Powell's career came full circle, back to action, but this time with much bigger explosions and much bigger names. He joined the third installment of Sylvester Stallone's all-star action franchise. These films were pure adrenaline nostalgia, a love letter to the 80s and 90s era of muscle-bound heroes and over-the-top stunts. Powell played Thorn, a young, tech-savvy mercenary brought in to join the next generation of Expendables, a fast-talking hacker and drone expert with a sarcastic edge. It was a refreshing twist in a franchise built on brute force, and Powell's charm gave the film a welcome spark of modern energy. Commercially, the film performed decently but fell short of its predecessors, earning over $214 million worldwide against a hefty budget. Critics were very split, praising its fun ensemble moments but calling the formula tired. But for Powell, it was a crucial step up, his first significant role in a major studio action film. It also gave him something even more valuable, proximity to Hollywood veterans. Expendables 3 wasn't his breakout role yet, but it was a statement, a young actor carving out space for himself amongst giants, ready to take the baton from the old guard and makes action his own.
Boy, you want to dance, big guy?
Hey!
Scream Queens 2015 to 2016. After starring in Sex Ed and Windwalkers, Powell switched gears entirely, from guns and grit to satire, style, and scream-worthy chaos. He joined a twisted blend of horror, comedy, and pop culture absurdity that aired on Fox. The show was unapologetically over the top, part Mean Girls, part American Horror Story, and full of blood, secrets, and pink sweaters. Powell played Chad Radwell, the leader of the Dickie Dollar Scholars fraternity, and quite possibly one of the most hilariously self-absorbed characters ever put on television. Chad was rich, oblivious, and completely ridiculous, but Powell brought a kind of charm to him that made viewers love to hate him. He wasn't just a stereotype, he was a full-blown caricature of privilege turned up to 11. This role was a turning point for Powell. Audiences knew he could do action, but Scream Queens revealed something new, impeccable comedic timing and willingness to lean into satire without holding back. Powell's deadpan delivery, exaggerated confidence, and effortless chemistry with his co-stars made him one of the show's standout performers. Behind all the humor and horror, Scream Queens marked the real evolution of Powell, not just as an actor, but as a performer who could completely reinvent himself with every role. It was the moment he stopped being a background player and started becoming a personality.
I got my first boner watching Faces of Death.
His breakout role. Everybody Wants Some 2016. After starring in Ride Along 2 and Misconduct, Powell stepped into a project that would completely redefine how critics saw him. The film was billed as a spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, another Linklater classic about youth, identity, and fleeting freedom. Set in 1980, this film follows a group of college baseball players during the last weekend before classes start. There's no big plot, no forced drama, just the energy of young adulthood, captured in all of its chaos, ego, and discovery. Powell plays Finnegan, the philosophical smooth talker of the team. He's funny, confident, effortlessly cool, but beneath all the bravado, there's real curiosity. Finnegan isn't just a party guy, he's a thinker, always chasing a good conversation as much as a good time. And that's what makes Powell's performance so magnetic. He doesn't dominate the film, he elevates it. Every scene he's in feels sharper, more alive. You can see the natural charisma that would later define his career. Critics immediately took notice. The film premiered to widespread acclaim, with many pointing to Powell as a standout. Reviewers called his performance effortlessly charismatic and scene-stealing. Like many of Linklater's films, its impact wasn't in the numbers. It became a cult favorite, celebrated for its authenticity, warmth, and sharp dialogue. Looking back, Everybody Wants Some feels like the turning point in his career. The film where Glen Powell stopped trying to fit in and instead started owning his space as a natural-born leading man.
There's only one thing bigger than my IQ, and it stops around my knee.
Hidden Figures 2016. That same year, Powell appeared in this film set during the 1960 space race. It tells the story of 3 black female mathematicians whose work at NASA was essential to launch John Glenn into orbit. Powell plays that astronaut, John Glenn, an American hero and one of the few men at NASA who recognized and respected the brilliance of the women behind the mission. It's a smaller supporting role, but one of symbolic importance. Glenn's trust in Katherine Johnson becomes a defining emotional moment in the film, a moment that Powell delivers with sincerity and quiet conviction. Unlike his more flamboyant roles, this performance is understated. He's not there to steal the spotlight, he's there to ground it. For Powell, this role was quite pivotal. Audiences already knew he could be funny and charming, but Hidden Figures showed he could channel that same energy into something meaningful.
Ladies, didn't want to run off without saying hello. Seems to be in a big rush around here.
Set It Up 2018. After starring in Sandcastle, All Hail King Julian, All Hail King Julian Exiled, The Bad Guys, and the Guernsey Literary Society, Powell proved he was ready to take center stage in his truly first big leading role. The story follows 2 overworked assistants, Harper and Charlie, who conspire to set up their demanding bosses in hopes of finally getting some free time. Naturally, in true rom-com fashion, their scheme backfires and love finds them instead. Powell's performance as Charlie is effortlessly charismatic. He plays him as the kind of guy who's charming but not smug, ambitious but still likable. There's a looseness to his delivery, a genuine playfulness that makes the entire film feel alive. His chemistry with Zoe Deutsch is undeniable, witty, fast-paced, and filled with the kind of banter that recalls the golden era of Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. What makes the film special is that it understands the modern rom-com audience, smart, self-aware, but still craving the magic of a feel-good love story. Powell fits perfectly into that balance. His comedic timing is sharp, but his sincerity is what carries the film. Critically, it was a breath of fresh air. Reviewers praised its writing, its energy, and most importantly, its leads. For Powell, Set It Up was his truly career-defining moment. Until then, he had been a familiar face, but this film made him the leading man. It showed Hollywood that he could carry a film, that he could make audiences laugh, root for him, and genuinely care.
He watches from the bleachers like a common peasant. Yeah, of course he does.
A career-defining role. Top Gun Maverick 2022. After starring in Robot Chicken, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, and Apollo 10.5, A Space-Age Childhood, Powell found himself in the cockpit of one of Hollywood's most anticipated sequels of all time. This film was more than just a nostalgic return, it was a high-octane, emotionally charged revival of 1986's Top Gun, one of cinema's most iconic action dramas. Tom Cruise returned as Maverick, now a veteran pilot called back to train a new generation of aviators. Among them, Glen Powell as Lieutenant Jake Hangman Saracen. Hangman is confident, razor-sharp, and unflinchingly competitive, a throwback to the classic cocky archetype. On paper, he's the new Iceman, but Powell brings a modern energy to the role. Beneath the swagger, there's depth, a pilot who hides insecurities behind bravado. He lives by confidence because it's easier than admitting fear. It's a fine line to walk, but Powell nails it. His Hangman is magnetic without being cartoonish, cocky but charismatic. The kind of presence that makes you both roll your eyes and grin every time he's on screen. Critics and audiences agreed. The film was a phenomenon. It received near-universal acclaim, praised for its breathtaking aerial sequences, emotional storytelling, and pure cinematic craftsmanship. It became a box office juggernaut, grossing almost $1.5 billion worldwide, earning 6 Academy Award nominations including Best Picture, and reigniting the blockbuster spirit of the 1980s for a new generation. For Powell, Top Gun Maverick was more than just another hit. It was a defining career moment. He wasn't just a charming sidekick anymore or the lead in a smaller film. He was part of the film that brought moviegoers back to theaters after the pandemic, a project that celebrated the very essence of old-school Hollywood spectacle.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your savior speaking.
Devotion 2022. Later that year, Powell stayed in disguise, but this time the story was entirely different. This film was based on the true story of Jesse Brown and Tom Hutner, two US Navy fighter pilots who formed a powerful friendship during the Korean War. Powell plays Hutner, a loyal, compassionate officer who becomes the wingman and close friend of Brown, portrayed by Jonathan Majors. Powell's performance as Hutner is one of restraint and empathy. He's the moral anchor of the story, a man who learns what true courage looks like, not in himself but in the person flying beside him. Powell had a personal connection to the project too. He had discovered the story years earlier, read the book, and fought to make it into a film. That level of passion shows truly. His portrayal of Hutner isn't just respectful, it's heartfelt. Critically, Devotion receives mixed to strong reviews. It was praised for its sincerity, historical accuracy, and emotional resonance. While it didn't dominate at the box office, grossing only $21 million worldwide, far from Top Gun Maverick, it earned admiration from critics and veterans alike. In a way, Devotion and Maverick form two halves of the same coin. One celebrates the thrill of flying, the other honors the people who lived and sometimes died doing it. For Powell, it was the perfect follow-up, a project that showed he could carry both the blockbuster and the intimate drama, the heroism and the heartbreak.
What are you fighting for?
Hoping to find that out.
Hollywood's next leading man. Anyone But You, 2023. After two intense aviation-heavy dramas, Powell changed course once again, heading straight back into the genre that first made audiences fall for his charm, the romantic comedy. This film starred Powell opposite Sydney Sweeney and quickly became one of the year's most talked about rom-coms. The story follows Ben and Bea, two people who can't stand each other after a disastrous first date, until they're forced to pretend to be a couple at a destination wedding in Australia. Naturally, what begins as playful hostility turns into genuine chemistry. What made the film stand out wasn't just its sharp writing or postcard-perfect setting, it was the electric dynamic between Powell and Sweeney. Their banter was quick, flirtatious, and endlessly watchable, perfectly capturing the love-hate energy that defines the best romantic comedies. Powell plays Ben with his signature confidence and humor, but also a certain self-awareness. He knows exactly when to lean into the charm and when to let vulnerability peek through. Critics were mixed on the film itself, but almost everyone agreed on one thing: Powell and Sweeney's chemistry was magnetic. Their on-screen relationship and off-screen promotional banter sent social media into a frenzy. Commercially, the film was a major success, despite modest expectations. It earned over $220 million worldwide, a remarkable feat for a romantic comedy in the modern box office era. For Powell, it was another milestone, his set it up moment, but on a much larger scale. With Anyone But You, he didn't just act in a rom-com, he reignited the genre.
Wow, that's tight. Help. See, it's like holding a baby bird.
Hitman 2023. The following year, Powell started in a project that wasn't just another project, it was a creative turning point. This film blurred the lines between action, comedy, and existential drama. It is based on a true story about Gary Johnson, a mild-mannered psychology professor who secretly works with the police, posing as a fake contract killer to catch would-be criminals. Powell plays Gary, and it's the most complex role of his career. On one level, he's the awkward academic, quiet, kind, and unassuming, but every time he goes undercover, he transforms, taking on different personas, accents, and identities to lure people into confessions. What starts as an elaborate act soon becomes a deeper question about who Gary really is and who he wants to be. It's a performance that feels like a masterclass in duality. Powell moves effortlessly between humor and tension, confidence and self-doubt. One moment he's hilarious, the next he's heartbreakingly vulnerable. And when Gary meets Madison, played by Adria Arjona, a woman who believes he's a real hitman, the film turns into something unexpectedly romantic, funny, seductive, and psychologically rich. Critics loved the film. It premiered to rave reviews at film festivals, with many calling it Powell's best performance to date. What makes it special isn't just its clever script or tonal balance, it's that it feels entirely Glen Powell. Every frame reflects his personality, sharp, self-aware, charismatic, and just a little bit dangerous. Hitman was the film that cemented his evolution, from a dependable supporting actor into one of Hollywood's most interesting and unpredictable talents.
And as far as we know, they could be watching us right now, so we should probably never see each other again.
Twisters 2024. The following year, Powell took the final step into full-fledged blockbuster territory, not just as a star, but as the centerpiece of a major studio spectacle. The film serves as a modern reimagining, not a direct sequel to the 1996 disaster classic Twisters. It follows a new generation of storm chasers who find themselves caught in the path of increasingly violent tornadoes. Powell plays Tyler Owens, a charismatic and fearless social media famous storm chaser whose daredevil antics make him both a viral sensation and a reckless legend in the field. He's brash, funny, and fearless, the kind of role that plays directly into Powell's strengths. But as the film unfolds, we see deeper layers beneath this swagger. Starring opposite Daisy Edgar Jones, Powell brings a mix of humor and intensity that anchors the entire film. Their dynamic, part rivalry, part partnership, and part slow burn connection gives the film an emotional heartbeat amidst all the chaos. Critically, the film was a major hit. Reviewers praised its balance of nostalgia and modern storytelling, and Powell's performance earned particular acclaim. Many critics noted that he felt like a true movie star in the old school sense. Commercially, the film was a massive success as well, grossing over $372 million worldwide. For Powell, Twisters was validation. He had finally headlined a true summer blockbuster and delivered. As I already said, he carried the film with the kind of charisma and command that reminded audiences of the classic stars, the one who could make you laugh, thrill you, and break your heart all in one film.
And if you feel it,
The Running Man 2025. After starring in Family Guy and Chet Powers, Powell's next step is as bold as yet, a dive into dystopian action. Directed by Edgar Wright, this film is a reimagining of Stephen King's novel and a spiritual successor to the 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger cult classic. But this version promises something much more psychological, stylish, and socially charged, the kind of cerebral spectacle Wright is known for. Set in a near-future America, obsessed with reality entertainment and surveillance, the film follows Ben Richards, a wrongfully accused man forced to participate in a deadly televised game show where he must evade professional killers for his freedom and his life. Powell stars as Richards, marking his first foray into a gritty, full-fledged action lead. Powell's performance could be a revelation, a raw, physical, and emotionally charged turn that blends his natural magnetism with real intensity. It could cement his legacy of one of Hollywood's most dynamic and genre-crossing stars. It looks like the culmination of everything his career has been building towards: charm, depth, versatility, and risk-taking all colliding in one explosive project. For Powell, The Running Man isn't just another film, it's truly a statement. It's proof that he's not content to play it safe, that he's willing to evolve, experiment, and keep audiences guessing.
still here, you shit-eaters.
And there you have it, the full career of Glen Powell so far. From his slow rise to fame to being the next hottest lead actor in Hollywood. Now let me ask you, are you excited for The Running Man? And what is your favorite Glen Powell performance? Let me know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. I have been Dean, the average movie guy on your screen. Big thanks for watching. See you next time. Roll the credits.